Marissa, one of the big things for you is the Georgia Accountability Courts. If you could kind of give folks a little bit of quick background, but also just do you think that the public does have enough access, is there enough transparency there that we can measure the success?
So good morning. So in terms of our accountability courts, I will say, and I work at the Southern Center for Human Rights. For those of you who don't know, we are an organization committed to equal justice under the law and integrity and accountability in our systems. And so when it comes to trying to identify ways for the state to spend its resources more appropriately and really be intentional on trying to reduce recidivism and allow people to lead productive lives, one of the things that has come out of the efforts of criminal justice reform in Georgia is the uniformity of our accountability court system. So accountability courts aren't new. You may have heard of these called drug courts or DUI courts, mental health courts, things of that nature. They all fall under this umbrella of accountability courts. When Governor Deal took office, there were a few dozen of these kind of courts around the state. There weren't any there wasn't any uniformity or standards. There was just kind of a common knowledge that it seems to work a little bit better for folks when we are actually treating their needs in community instead of spending thousands of dollars incarcerating them. And by keeping people in the community, we have a better chance that they will identify employment opportunities and affordable housing and the like. So over the course of the last several years, these courts have, there has been a proliferation of these courts around the state. There are now about 150 of these kinds of courts statewide. There is the Council on Accountability Court Judges that was created statutorily a few years ago, and the goal of recognizing that sending people to jail and prison does not work, that there are better things that we might do. The state has been intentional over the last few years in trying to make sure that there are measures and standards for determining how these programs are working, what interventions are most appropriate, and how can we really address the needs of community in a more meaningful way. So all of that being said, there's been some studies that have come out recently that have shown that people who go through accountability court programs are less likely to recidivate, not even just graduates. So someone who does not go into a drug court or a mental health court compared to somebody who does go in, even if they don't graduate, the person who went into the program actually has a better chance of leading a productive life. It is even greater for folks who graduate from accountability courts. We're talking about 10, 15, 20% decreases in our recidivism by being more intentional with identifying needs for people in the community. All of that being said, I think there are a couple of pieces here when you're talking about First Amendment and access to records and information as a check on accountability and transparency. I would say that there is more than enough information being gathered and tracked and analyzed in our accountability court systems that we can identify these programs as successful. The flip side of that is, as somebody who advocates for individuals who have contact with the criminal justice system, I do not think that we should make more information public. I am in the camp of saying that records that are harmful to people after a particular period of time, when they do not correlate to the likelihood of committing another crime or dealing with public safety or those kinds of issues, that there should be some way for folks to be able to actually move on with their lives. So I would not advocate for more information to be collected or publicly available. I think that we have all that we need to understand how these systems work and that we are actually making a significant improvement.